Today I want to talk about how you can use internal family systems, or IFS, which is a therapy modality. How you can use it to work with some common challenges that I think a lot of us experience. So what I want to do is give you a little quick definition of IFS, and I have a lot of links on my website where you can learn more, and talk about some common challenges that people have and how you can approach them. So first of all, IFS. IFS stands for Internal Family Systems, and it's a type of therapy that holds this idea that we're not just one unified experience, but we're actually made up of parts. And we already use this in the English language, and I'll give you an example. Let's say it's Friday night, and you're just settling in on your couch, and you get a text from friends, and they're like, "Hey, we're going out." And you notice in that moment that a part of you really wants to go hang out with your friends, but another part of you is really comfortable on the couch. So that's something we do in English already. We already use that concept. And so IFS helps us to notice that in one moment, there may be a part of us that's anxious, a part of us that's angry, a part of us that wants to just watch TV, a part of us that wants to be social, etc. IFS also looks at different kinds of parts. Some of our parts hold pain. So for example, the part that's scared, the part that feels bad about ourselves, and other parts try to protect us from that pain. So parts that try to prevent the pain from happening or from being experienced. And in addition, there's also this concept of self. It's the you that's not the part. It's the calm, compassionate, centered you that can be a really healing presence for all of these parts. And so what I want to do today is kind of talk how you can use this. Now, I picked three. There's lots of ways you can use this, but I picked three that I thought were common. One, let's see, what do I want to start with, is procrastination. Of course, I procrastinate, probably you procrastinate. We all do this at some time. But I want to talk about what it is and how you can work with it. So let's just say you have something important in front of you that you need to do. The stakes are high. Maybe there's a deadline approaching, or this is some kind of thing that you'll be presenting where other people will be seeing it. And you notice yourself pulling out your phone, right? So what's happening there? A part of you senses that this could get uncomfortable. What if we fail? What if we feel bad about ourselves doing this? What if we can't complete it and then we'll feel bad about ourselves? There are a variety of ways. And so this part says, let's do something else. Let's pick up our phone. Let's go get a snack. Let's read something else. Anything that will keep us from feeling that feeling. And so from an IFS perspective, what we want to do is not power through and try to get back to work and try to get it done. But first, work with that part that has that concern and find out, what is it protecting you from? And often we'll hear it's a fear of failure, a fear of being seen, etc. Another example that I think IFS can help with is self-criticism. I work with a lot of clients who experience that. This constant voice in their head beating them up. And that voice is a part. And what's interesting about self-criticism is that even though it really is painful and it doesn't help, IFS sees this part as trying to be helpful. And in fact, if you think about it, whenever we have a self-critical part, it's telling us we're supposed to be a certain way. We need to do things perfectly. We need to do them right. We should be doing them better than we are. And that is because this part hopes that if we did that, we would be okay. Every time we hear a self-critical part, remember I said there's a part that has the pain? Usually it's a part that feels shame, a part that feels bad about ourselves, a part that thinks we're not worth anything. And so the self-critical part says, you need to be like this so you never feel that way. Now, if you have some self-critical part already, you know that it doesn't work. And what I want to suggest, and IFS suggests as a helpful approach, is to, first of all, name the part, see it. When you notice those self-critical thoughts, name them. I see you. I know you. I know what's going on. I see what you're doing. You're trying to help me not feel like a failure, not to feel bad about myself. What are you concerned about? What are you concerned will happen? And that can really change the relationship with that self-critical part. The third one that I wanted to talk about as an approach where IFS can help is overthinking. And again, this is one a lot of people deal with. It's that I keep chewing on the same thought over and over, or I keep replaying a scene in my head of something I said to somebody, what I wanted to say to them. Or I keep worrying about something in the future and I just cannot stop thinking about it. So again, IFS would say that's a part of us that keeps thinking about this. And so don't argue with it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to stop it. Instead, find out, what is this part so scared of or so concerned about that it keeps thinking about it? And just like the self-critical part, meeting this part with some curiosity and some compassion, like, you're struggling, can really help. And so those are 3 examples, and we all approach them kind of in the same way, but I want to give you kind of sort of a model of how you can do this. It's kind of 4 steps. Now in therapy, it's a little more complicated, but I want to give you something easy you can take away. We always start with noticing. So notice this is happening. A part of me is procrastinating, a part of me is overthinking, a part of me is being really self-critical. And then put a little space between you and the part. Now here's how you do that. Just simply name it. So a part of me is wanting to procrastinate. A part of me cannot stop thinking about this. A part of me is really self-critical about the way I'm doing things. Then get curious. Find out more. Why is this part having to do this job? What is this part concerned about? What will happen if it doesn't do its job? And then try to respond with some compassion. And here, what I mean by compassion is to try to understand the pain that that part of you is in. I see that you're really scared. It is really scary to make ourselves vulnerable, to put something out in public and possibly be judged on it. What happened in that conversation was really upsetting. I see why you're still thinking about it. It was really upsetting. Responding with compassion can allow those parts to start to relax, calm down, and shift. And that can be really helpful. So that's sort of the model. That's how IFS would say to work with these experiences. And I find in my work with clients, it's been really helpful. Before I wrap up, I want to give you just some little examples of things you can do right now. And I have more about this in my blog, which you can check out at the link. But these are just practices that can kind of help you work with this. One is keeping a parts journal. Now, it's what it sounds like. If you like to journal, where you just sort of write your thoughts and your feelings and what happened and what's going on for you, you can do that, but just move into the perspective of listening to and understanding your parts. So you can ask your part, what is it you were concerned about today? And let the part start writing. What do you fear? Let the part write it. What do you need? Let the part write it. So that's parts journaling. Another one, I love this one, and I learned it in a training years ago and I found it really helpful. But it's a simple way to soothe your parts when you're feeling distressed. So if you are feeling self-critical or overthinking or being a procrastinator or whatever else, it's called hand over heart. So you make a fist with one of your hands, you put it over your heart, and then you take your other hand and put it over that. If you try that out, it feels really nice and it feels really soothing on your nervous system. And you can do that while you offer some compassion. I see you. This is really scary. This is really hard right now. And that kind of compassion can help your nervous system, and in this case, your parts in your nervous system, start to calm down a bit. Something else that can be just a helpful thing to remember is ask, don't push. Just remember it as a motto. Ask, don't push. So when you're procrastinating, don't try to just push back into doing the work. Ask first, what's going on? What are your concerns? What are you fearing? And then see what happens. Same with self-criticism. If you notice your part is just beating you up, what's going on? And of course with overthinking, the same thing. What's happening? What are you scared about? I see you thinking a lot. What is going on for you? Another one that can be really helpful is, and I share this because it can be a helpful model to think about. I'll use procrastination. Let's say you're trying to work on something and you're just not doing it. Take a moment, and if this visual helps, I find it can be helpful. Just imagine a meeting room, a conference room, or if you want, you can think about a living room with some seating area. And then imagine inviting that part of you that's procrastinating to have a seat. And then have a little one-on-one with the part. That visual can kind of help you conceptualize how to do this. And a lot of my clients find it really helpful. So when they notice something's going on, they'll have a little meeting with themselves. Finally, I think a really helpful tool is to work to create self-energy. Now, that's a new term. I realized I didn't say it earlier. Self-energy is just that ability to be compassionate, to be curious, to be calm, to be centered. Those are characteristics of self, and we can do that for ourselves. You can take a moment, you can breathe to get a little space, you can ask yourself, can I be curious right now? What do I need to feel calm so I can really approach this? Those are all ways to create self-energy. So I hope these ideas have been helpful, and you can read more about them in my blog. And obviously, this is an area where therapy can be really helpful, especially when we have challenges with working with our parts. But I welcome any questions, and I hope this was helpful.